Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Thanks so much for checking in. It is a special edition of Follow the Money here on Final Four Saturday. Mitch Moss Pauly Howard with you for another hour. And we are live leading into the Final Four games today. We're at, well, it's connected. It's TPC Scottsdale. What an entrance today when we pulled up.
Yeah.
It's you pull in to go to TPC Scottsdale, and right there is a humongous building that says DraftKings Sportsbook. Awesome location, and this place on the inside is even better. So
over 30 kiosks, blew me away.
I love it, by the way.
Yeah.
What have I told you now for a long time? Like, I used to have, I was so blessed because I had, like, Superman vision. I was 20, like 15 my whole life.
Yeah.
Spotting dimes from three, no problem. But because I'm on this stupid phone all day long, I can't see anymore.
Yeah.
So you get one of these kiosks up there. That's something I can actually operate
I love
with.
it. Yeah, guys just set up shop. They bring the chair over, and they just sit there, and the menu is so damn big. And just put in all the bets. And, the selection that they have in the menu is incredible. We've known that for a long time. But just A+ here with the service, the menu. You can go to the window, all the kiosks, and then they got the bar restaurant right behind us. So I was looking at some of these props, too. And some different things. So I found largest lead. The largest lead prop was 16.5 and 17.5. So is every game going to be a blowout? Which, with UConn may be. But 16.5 and 17.5. 16.5 is the Purdue game. 17.5 is the UConn game. Largest lead.
What do you want
which
to do?
Also you have... You want to do that with UConn? It's risky business. I want to take the under in the Purdue game, but I can't do it with the way UConn's playing. But the other prop that I like though is biggest run. Biggest run's 11.5. Now, to me, that seems crazy. No one's going to go on a 12-0 run.
I think that will happen.
The spurt ability, no one's going to go. That blows me away. It's that low, and based on what UConn just did to Illinois as well, but. Like we talked about with Matt Humans, are they going to win every game like this, even with the Golics? I mean, yes, it's 10 wins in a row in the tournament, 10-0 ATS, but every win's been by at least 13.
Well, here's the crazy thing, is that, yeah, they did it last year as a 4 seed. Now, think about the turnover from last year into this year, where it's not exactly like everybody's different, but essentially they have, like, brand-new players. Not all of them, again, but a lot of them, right? A lot of key players are new, or they weren't, like, key factors to last year's team. They're just going to turn around and do it one more time? This is like, are you telling me that this is – because remember the last team to repeat was Florida.
Right,
they had everybody
06,
back.
07, yeah. Yeah, good point.
So you could actually see something like that happening. Like everybody was back on that team. So that's the difference between these two teams.
First 4 games, average margin of victory, 27 points per game. As we said earlier, you're playing Illinois. They're no joke. Top 5 offense efficiency club. Okay, 30-0 run. No big deal. And – it's just they're making a whole mockery of this whole tournament, what they're doing. And to be seeing now, the thing about Alabama, I thought we'd get it done last year. But they had the disappointment of going out against San Diego State. To me, it was a much better team. But you go out early as the 1 seed, and now here, I thought for sure Carolina was going to beat them, and they're down 8 at halftime, and Carolina's getting whatever they want offensively. They hold them to 7 points over 10 minutes, and then we know what happened with the horrible shot selection, and they made all the plays down the stretch, and they win, and then everything was going in the last 15 or 20-some minutes against Clemson. Yeah. So, but still, you look at this, and it comes down to are the threes going in, but how bad they played down the stretch. The NC State thing, they've done the 9 in a row, and it's a great story, and we'll get to that in a second. But with Alabama, Matt mentioned it. Run out at Kentucky. You blown out twice by Florida down the stretch. Really should have lost to Grand Canyon. If Grand Canyon can knock down anything from the outside or even make the damn free throws, they're gonna lose that game. Yeah. But here they are with a chance to go to the title game, and you're raced to 10, you're raced to 15, you're raced to 20. I would play the math game. Oates is a smart guy. You brace analytics, the Harden shot chart from the old days with the Rockets. Dunk or three? Dunk or three? I take 43s tonight. And I play the math game and see. Yeah. Because it's just, I'm going against this freight train here. And They're just so damn good.
So that part of the schedule that you just mentioned, I watched Alabama play a lot this year. First of all, they were like super exciting, entertaining games because they're so elite on offense and so bad defensively. And in some of those games against Florida, the Kentucky game for sure, the Auburn game, like those opposing teams got whatever they wanted. And it was so easy. I mean, it just looked like, wow, they're not, like, what's the problem here? Because they have talent and they have so much athleticism and they have length. So why was it so easy for the opposing team? So that part of me is, thinking that UConn can do whatever they want against this team. The other part is, when we talked about that before the tournament, there are certain teams that are going to fall into the red flag category teams, right? Where they might be just super impressive, like almost superior on one side of the court, and Alabama was offensively, and the defense is so bad. Typically, a team like that can only go based on history, right? To like maybe the Sweet 16, and occasionally they can make a run to the Elite Eight in the Final Four. But the one thing that can happen for a team that has an offense or a super good defense is like, what if they just take over and they're superhuman for 6 games in a row?
Yep.
And maybe could that be the case? I like what Matt Brown said, who was hosting the show with Samich before we came on a couple hours ago. He said it depends on like how you look at this game and where your conviction falls, right? Because if you think Bama's just going to take a ton of threes and they're going to miss because UConn's got such a good defense,
could happen,
and they're going to get nothing at the rim, then just continue bet on UConn.
Yeah.
Like alternate numbers because they've been blowing everybody out. That's probably going to continue. But if you think it's going to be frantic and the threes can go in and it's going to be this crazy style, Bama can keep it close. It's a massive number for a really good team out of one of the best conferences in college basketball. So his point was he was grabbing like plus 7.5 at a nice plus price rather than taking the 12.5, which was available earlier in the week.
Well, here's what you said on Friday's show. Can they get Klingon away from the basket? And he contested 19 shots against Illinois, and they went 0 of 19. So if Nelson can hit shots and they bring him away from the rim, that could be a recipe right there where they can get it done, right? Because if he's knocking down shots and they can get him, because the guy's so good down low, that's something that works in their favor, and maybe we could get a close game, right?
Yeah. I mean, I could absolutely see that happening.
Yeah.
Again, Nelson has been the key for this team now in individual games. I mean, I thought that he was a complete superstar against North Carolina. And you're telling me that North Carolina has like nobody down low to deal with him? Of course they do. They got multiple guys down in the low block who are very good college basketball players. And I thought Grant Nelson, if I don't know the names of the players in that game and I watch both those teams for the first time all year long, I would have said he's the best player on the court, or he's the best player on both those teams. But like season long, you're not going to say that because it wasn't the case. It's not true.
Everyone at the airport, sitting behind us, thought that this was a big deal with UConn with the flight. Do you think that's a big deal? And there were UConn fans. There were people from Connecticut behind us. There were Purdue fans. Everyone was chiming in and saying this could be a big deal. I don't know, but this is. The one thing that could actually work in their favor, though, is this guy uses everything as motivation and fuel.
Yeah, that's right.
It was going to be difficult. They didn't want us to repeat. Look at the region they put us in, and look, we're the early game in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Now that we can't, the plane ride, and we got delayed, and we're coming out here at Thursday morning. This guy uses everything. And it's brilliant what he does, but it certainly works, and I can't kill him. And he's he's nuts with the superstitions and wearing the same underwear and everything.
I don't think it'll hurt him. These are 19, 20-year-old kids. It's like did the 5 games in 5 days hurt NC State? Like
I know, I was just waiting for that. And it hasn't happened.
Like teams don't typically do that because A, it's extremely difficult. B, they might not be as talented to win that many games, but it never did, and it hasn't so far in the tournament. And they just keep like looking better and better by the game the way it seems. So I don't think they're going to be affected by that. But how about this now with, again, that touched 12.5 earlier in the week. I'm looking at the screen right now at DraftKings down to 11. Money keeps coming in on Alabama here before the game. How about the total at 160.5? Should we be talking about that more? I mean, because Bama has been, other than the Grand Canyon game, they have been a buzzsaw to the over all year long and in the tournament.
That's where I agree with humans. That's where I think the shooting background's a big deal. And Golick Sr. mentioned it too. I mean, it's just that you're not used to this. And that really could spell doom for Alabama, though, if the shots aren't falling. But I mentioned what happened when the last time they had the Final Four out here in 17, that all the games were played in the low 70s and all 3 second halves went under. But
all 3 second halves.
But you're right. Okay. They don't play defense, and also I would think that maybe it's a track meet or you have issues early on shooting. But the one prop that would be your friend here is Sears 30 points and hits 5 threes, which is 6-1.
6-1.
Correlated with everything. If they're going to hang in this one, he has to have a big game, and he shoots over 40% from three. And along with his teammates, he's got to start knocking some down.
And he's done that twice on the year. He did it against Purdue. Again, that game they hit 19 threes and they lost. He had 35 points, 8 threes in that game. He also did it against South Carolina when he had 31 points, 6 threes. South Carolina was like very good defensively this season. Again, that pays 6-1. Some of the other numbers that we have in this game. How about Caravan to get 15 points and 10 plus rebounds? Pays 7-1. Although he did not, surprisingly here, he did not record one double-digit rebound game the entire year. Caravan and Spencer to score 20 plus points each pays plus 750. They did that against Georgetown on January 14th. Like something like that can happen because, again, the total, I get what you're saying about the background. It totally makes sense. But if it plays out this way and that total is going to be in range, well, then the points are going to be coming from somewhere.
Yep.
And two players from the same team could absolutely score 20 plus points.
I also said this Friday. They're kids. Crazy stuff happens. You get a week off. You go back to campus. You're BMOC. Everyone's pumping your tires. I referenced the Arizona-North Carolina game from '97. It was supposed to be NBA players supposed to be the game was unwatchable.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was like 66-58. It was ugly.
Yep.
So
Okay.
who saw that coming?
A little bit more on Purdue and NC State coming up next. And I promise I'm going to get to that prop that I do like. You can get it at 3-1. Details on that coming up here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Get ready to tee it off with a special Masters edition of VSiN's Long Shot this Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern. Join Matt Brown, Wes Reynolds, Kelly Bidlin. They break down the field, analyze the best bets, look for long shots. Wes had Jaeger at 50-1 at the Houston Open. They give you the inside scoop on every player. Whether you're a seasoned golf bettor or just getting into the game, the experts will provide insights and strategies to help you make informed betting decisions. Tune into Long Shots Tuesday, 11 p.m. VSiN.com/Masters. Hurley, 13-3 ATS career in the tournament. UConn, 26-6 ATS since 2009 in the tournament. Ridiculous.
Wild. Let me give you this. We'll dive back into the props for today's games coming up in a second here. Last night, Friday night, 14.2 million people tuned in to the UConn-Iowa game. The only non-football telecast in ESPN's history to beat that was 2014 Portugal against the U.S. men in the World Cup at 18.2 million viewers. That's a Friday night. Tomorrow, can we bet on this stuff? How many viewers? Will tomorrow touch 20 million? If it's a 4-point game.
It has all the makings. 37-0 against Caitlin Clark.
Wow. I haven't seen props for her yet. What do you want to do now, Hot Shot? That was a great.
I didn't think it was.
Game.
I would go under again because I didn't think it was possible for her to have a game like that. But Gino was so good, and the game plan was fantastic.
How did Kim
She was
Mulkey
all
not
out of
have
sorts.
that?
I know, ridiculous. And that girl enters the portal now too. And she goes Louisville, LSU, and now she's leaving.
Right.
So she's the fall girl for what happened. But certainly Mulkey did a horrible job between that and not getting Reese more touches down low. Favorites of 8+ points in the tournament, 18-5 ATS, and something's got to give. If NC State wins it all, they'd be the biggest long shot ever. They enter the Final Four with the most losses ever for a team that made the Final Four, and we know the Big Ten hasn't won the Big Dance since 2000. So something's got to give here too, with the early game coming up.
Also, this is when 11 seeds go to die.
Yeah.
They never won.
So Humans mentioned it too about Burns has given up 7 inches. He said no big deal, but that is if he's getting calls, if something happens and he's foul trouble early, what Edey could do to him down low, or if you collapse on him if the guys are knocking down threes. But what does he get offensively? And
what if they call one early on Edey?
Well, that's possible. because they let him get away with it in the Tennessee game. But if he's going to push off blatantly to get rebounds, or if he happens to connect because he likes to throw elbows, then that's a possible angle too. But what does Burns do offensively? He's been so good. But that's the other thing. For them to win games and make this incredible run, they're blowing people out. The Marquette game, was 4 of 31 from 3.
A lot of that was on them.
Yeah, but the Marquette game was over early.
Yep.
They ran out Texas Tech. Oakland game goes to overtime. But they destroyed Duke in the second half. This isn't supposed to happen.
No. Do they look like an 11 seed?
I don't think so.
Every time I've watched them play now, and it's been like 6-7 games going back 3 weeks, I'm like, how did this team lose that many games? How?
Right, that's my takeaway. What was going on before the ACC tournament? What was going on even during the ACC tournament? You shouldn't be tied late with Louisville,
absolutely
who's atrocious. Not. You needed a miracle, several miracles just to beat Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid's 86% from the line. He misses the free throw. Bennett doesn't foul. They missed 4 of their final 5 free throws in the last 50 seconds. You kiss it in off the glass. You win in overtime. You beat Duke. You beat Carolina. You beat Duke twice. You blow them out in the tournament. They haven't looked like an 11 and like Golick mentioned, you're 4-10 coming in. You were 4-10 coming into the ACC tournament. It doesn't make any sense.
Some of the props that are available at DraftKings for the early game here: Zach Edey to score 40 points, and for Purdue to win the game, that pays plus 380. He has scored 40 points once this year. That was in the last game. This is the one that I like that opened up at 3-1. Fletcher Lawyer to score 15 plus and hit 3+ threes. That happens times this year. And again, like the thought here being, well, first of all, Purdue overall as a team, the best three-point shooting team in the country. They were phenomenal all year long. This is the difference between this year's team and last year's team for the most part. If they collapse down low big on Edey, he's a really good passer, can find the open guy. Lawyer gets touches. If he's going to be open, I think that's kind of correlated to where if he hits 3+ threes, I like my chances of getting 15+ points.
Okay.
And there is a track record here of it happening this year more than a handful of times.
Most points today. Edey's minus 135, both games. Sears plus 350, Horn 8-1, Klingon 18-1, Burns 25-1.
Well, is this the angle like last night now? Caitlin Clark didn't do it?
Who put that up? Who would even think to put that up? It hadn't happened the whole year. She didn't even lead her team in scoring.
Yeah. Well,
imagine what that thing paid.
That, but also, like, who was going to be the leading scorer of the 2 games last night?
Yeah.
It did not happen. So, like, that thing, a ticket like that can cash. I would absolutely not lay the odds-on money here with Edey to do that.
I wouldn't do it in the Purdue game. Leading scorer in the Purdue game, he's almost $3.
Yeah, no, that's way too heavy.
I wouldn't do that, especially if whether there's foul trouble or there could be a blowout. I wouldn't lay that. So that's a good market here at DraftKings as well. Caitlin Clark was minus 350 to have more points than Edey.
Is that right?
Yeah. You've really stepped in it if you laid that.
Well, and she had, she had 23 last night?
I think it was 21. I think
21? Okay.
It was the gal down low.
Sulky?
She had 23.
Okay.
I didn't think it was possible. Did you?
Edey's point prop, by the way, is 25.5. Well,
she couldn't make a 3.
But also, here's the thing about Caitlin Clark, too. And why if she's a bust in the WNBA, Paul, I'll throw like a humongous pizza party for all of our listeners somewhere. I mean, that can't happen. I'm not injuries. Forget about it.
I can't see that.
Whatever. We'll do something crazy if she is a bust. But the reason,
she should go right to the basket. You have to go out there and respect her, and then she'll just blow right by you and lay it in.
Also, like those threes, they're on the money. Every 3 is like right there. It's like, okay, that was just barely off the back iron, or that one was halfway down and rattled out, or that one.
Well,
they're not bricks.
Well, you should be well coached, and you just run the opponent off screens nonstop too, and that you're going to get wide open looks or wear them out. Which Iowa was doing that all game, and it wasn't getting called, but it was for UConn, which also more of the controversy. I will say this, and I'm new to the women's basketball. It never was my cup of tea, but like the rest of the country, I've been watching these games. The missed layups are alarming.
Oh, I couldn't
believe
so bad.
And I've been watching much of the tournament. The missed layups are shocking.
Yeah. It's tough to handle at times because of that.
Yeah.
And yesterday alone, how many did we have? Open shots, they can knock them down for sure. But the point-blank range, and we're not talking about like great defense every single time, by the way, either. It's like, oh, you got an open one here? Not even close.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's bothersome. They're catching 6.5 against South Carolina. So, again, now that we're here,
yep.
And by the way, this has been like the best weekend in terms of anticipation when you combine the women's and the men that I can ever remember, because the women's game has never done anything like this before in terms of this many people paying attention, watching. The handle for this stuff is off the charts. Are we going to get all chalk? Is it going to be South Carolina? Is it going to be UConn? And then I'll tie it into the NBA. Like, do we get Denver and Boston playing in the NBA Finals? I can't even remember having this kind of conversation before.
You also, we talked about Gonzaga, UCLA. Strange things happen with that week off. And strange things can happen in the Final Four.
They were leading 14 in that game.
One of the best teams I've ever seen, UNLV, with Johnson, Augman, Hunt, Anthony, undefeated, lost to Duke. I think South Carolina wins, but, it's up to 6.5 now. But they've had to chew on this all year and said they remember that feeling, and it stunk, and they don't want to relive that again. They're 108-3 straight up in their last 111 games. 38 points per game from their bench in the tournament. The big gal down low, what she can do. And then you see how well the guards played. I just think they're too much.
Oh, they're low.
And I think Staley's a great coach, and he also can use what Gino did from a defensive standpoint.
Now he has that.
But that blueprint, and slow her down, and they're going to. I mean, what they did in the third quarter was ridiculous.
Oh, boy.
29-6. Again, bug on the bottom of my shoe. Just get out of here. Get off of me. Game's over.
Could you score on any of the top 8 in the rotation for South Carolina?
What, now? I can't forget.
Yeah, today, yeah.
God, no.
No chance?
Can't do it.
In a game from
it hurts to stand
in a game
up.
of 21, could you score one basket?
Well, I did. Well, listen, I did. WNBA player. I got 11 on her. Took the game on short notice. I always said, if I won the game, they'd have to shut the league down.
You did.
I never played. I said I never played a game. Never played organized basketball in my life. I took the game. I was 21-11.
Bruce Marshall on the show up next. Longtime college basketball bettor. He's had a great tournament. He likes NC State's been riding the whole tournament. Does he like them enough to win the game today?
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
For a limited time, offering 2 weeks of our exclusive betting splits for free. Just sign up, vsin.com/splits. It's updated with DraftKings odds every 5 minutes, so you can see changes in all the action. Find out where the public's betting based on the number of tickets and where the money doesn't match the public opinion. You can check out future events as well. Take advantage of this limited time offer, vsin.com/splits. Claim your free 2-week access to VSiN's betting splits. vsin.com/splits. Coming to you live from DraftKings Sportsbook and TPC Scottsdale. Over 30 kiosks here. You got the betting counter as well. Baseball, golf, UFC. Huge game right now in the NBA. Lakers lead the Cavs 103-93. 7 minutes left. Doors open for the Lakers to steal this, go up as high as the 7 seed. What's going on around them, and the Kings and Pelicans losing. And certainly the Cavs, I think they were like 15-1 because you were looking at 3,000, 2,500 less than 10 days ago on the Bucks to win the division. And now they've lost 5 of 6 and 3 in a row as double-digit favorites. So we're getting ready for the Final Four. Come on down if you're in the area. A+ all the way around here with the menu, the food, the bar, the restaurant, the patio, and the couches, and all the Follow the Money Army hanging out. And getting ready for NC State and Purdue coming up at 3 o'clock, followed by UConn and Alabama. Earlier in the week, we caught up with Bruce Marshall from CBS Sportsline at Bruce A. Marshall on X, and he loves to ride teams. If he'll win a game, he'll come right back with them. If he cashes another ticket, he'll come right back with them, and that's what he's going to do here with NC State, and that's how we started off the interview.
And you've been riding this wave with the NC State Wolfpack. My guess is you're going to be on them again against Purdue. Am I right with that? And if so, do you like him enough to maybe dabble on the money line?
You are correct, sir. And yes, I do. Though my first pick here would just be take the 9.5. But I do think they have a shot to win this thing. A couple of notes here. One, the name is the same as 1983, but this team is doing it a little bit differently. With Valvano in 83, for those of us old enough to remember, that team was riding lightning like you never saw in the tournament. And what Valvano was doing, these close games, I mean, he was fouling, not even when he was behind. He was fouling when games were tied late and daring the other team to make both ends of the 1-1. That was before you went to 2 shots at the 10th foul. By the way, Valvano's tactics caused that rule change, really. But he would dare teams because he wanted the ball last to take shots. And the Houston game was like that, the Virginia game, the UNLV game in the tournament, the Pepperdine game, Wake Forest game in the ACC tournament. I mean, he was on such a roll. This team, look what this team's doing. Last week, beat Duke by 12, beat Marquette by 9, beat Texas Tech by 13, beat North Carolina by 8 in the ACC final. Yes, that Virginia game in the ACC semis was reminiscent of 83. And the Oakland game did go to overtime. But for the most part, this team is just taking care of business. What I think the key here is going to be how long they can keep Burns on the floor. Cannot afford to get him into foul trouble. Edey, if you saw the game last week for Purdue against Tennessee, he was getting the ball on the low block. He was so deep. I mean, he'd take the entry pass to him, and he became a nice default option when their 3-pointers went falling. He was 2-3 feet away from the bucket. He just turned around and he was right there, laid in. Burns will not let him set up that low. Burns will push him out some. I don't care how tall Edey is. He's not going to move Burns off. If Burns doesn't want him on the blow block, Edey's not going there. This only works with Burns. Diarra and Middlebrooks are good, but they're not going to be able to do that to Edey. But Burns could, and that could change the dynamic. Listen, I know Purdue shot threes really good all year, but you can still go a little bit cold. They certainly did against Tennessee. And NC State's guards have got a chip on their shoulder right now. They badly outplayed Duke's guards twice. Duke's got a good backcourt. Horn, Marcel, O'Connell, Taylor, they are all very cocky right now, and they think they can take on anybody. And I'm not sure they can't. So I'm taking the points. I would think about making this a money line play. But the bottom line is NC State can win this game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
All good points, but Tennessee got a tough whistle in the last game. You know, seeing how they officiate this game, right? What if Burns gets a quick one? What if Burns gets 2 quick early fouls?
Then all bets are off.
Yeah,
because that's the which will be too late if you made the bet. But we'll assume he's there. But they need him on the floor because he's the guy who can make it tough on Edey. One thing I'll note about Edey, though, the other way, Edey's been pretty good about avoiding fouls. I think he's only fouled out once this season. But wouldn't that be something, though? And I'm not sure they're even going to put him on Burns. But if he did, Burns is a tough guy to guard. So it could go the other way, too. But he is Burns. He's got to stay out there because I don't think the other guys are going to be able to slow Edey the way Burns could.
Okay, very good. Follow the Money, Pauly and Mitch Veason, the Sports Betting Network. Bruce Marshall, our guest, Vegas Insider. Bruce A. Marshall on Twitter and X. He's on the Progressive guest line. Okay, how about the UConn Freight Train here? Look at this point spread, 12 against Alabama. Won 10 in a row in the tournament, covered them all. Blitzed Illinois, beat them by 30. Can you make the case for the dog here that it's too many points, and also could they shock the world?
Yes, I think they could. I don't know that they will, but I've fielded several questions this week about is UConn unbeatable? No. I mean, they lost 3 games this year. It's hard to beat them, but they're not unbeatable. I remind people, Secretariat, his 3-year-old year, lost 3 times. Ron Flatter will tell you why that really didn't happen, but he's wrong. He lost 3 times that year. I don't care what happened. He lost. This team can lose. It's unlikely, but not impossible. What Bama does, Bama's going to play them differently than anybody else. And by the way, the Illinois game, that game was very tight. It was a toss-up game to the last minute of the first half. if they call the foul on Caravan on that, when the score is tied and then the ball kicked out for the 3-pointer right before halftime, and UConn doesn't go up 26-23, they may go on halftime behind, and that 30-0 run isn't going to happen. It happened, and of course we know they're killing everybody. But Alabama, listen, they are the analytics team of all time. Not that I love analytics, but what Nate Oates does, this team shoots threes.
Yep.
Or they shoot at the rim, dunks, layups, and things like that. They do not have an intermediate shooting offense. And this is where Klingon really completely shuts down the key. I mean, you can't shoot, inside the arc really against him unless you're right at the rim. You saw Illinois get really unnerved by him and everybody else in the last couple of months. Well, I don't know in this game, the way Alabama plays, that sort of takes Klingon out of it because they're shooting threes or they're, like I said, right at the rim. It's either follow-ups or dunks. And is Klingon going to go and chase Grant Nelson out there, 20 feet away from the bucket? I don't know. I think they can negate Klingon some. Now, they're going to have to hit their threes, and we're just talking about, I contradict myself a bit because I said I'm not sure Purdue can hit threes. But Alabama's been, this is what they've been doing all year. Mark Sears, every time I see him, he reminds me more and more of Jalen Brunson, a little bit of a poor man's Jalen Brunson, but he can certainly, he's fearless, absolutely fearless, and this team is on a roll. Now, I know defensively this is an issue, but I sort of think when Alabama, if they have to step it up a little bit, they can, and this is a pretty good run that Alabama's on here. They're going to have to hit their threes. So if they don't, this could be a 30-point game. But I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be close. And I'm not sure Alabama can win, but 12, I'll take them. And maybe I'm crazy going against UConn, but I've done crazy things before, like bet on the lay 19 with the 1965 Chargers. So I will take Alabama.
Yep. Very good. How surprised are you, 90 seconds left, with this Musselman story? And apparently, like, Arkansas fans and people around the program are like, oh, okay, well, what are you going to do? He won Elite Eight, Sweet 16, one bad year, and he takes the USC job.
He's starting the contract clock over again, so I was not surprised at this, really. I figured that he was looking. We heard that he might be in the frame for Louisville, too. And then the SC job opened up. He's got roots in Southern California. He went to college at USD. His wife is from California, so I know she wants to come back, and that's a big factor. And so I'm not surprised at all. But we'll see what happens with Arkansas now, because this starts another chain of the dominoes falling. We're hearing Chris Beard's name. Would not shock me. That would open up Ole Miss then. Then we're hearing Will Wade's name for that. The carousel is still spinning, and all it takes is one of these jobs opening up, and then 2 or 3 open up. But that's what we're hearing back in Arkansas.
Bruce Marshall, at Bruce A. Marshall on X. It was good to catch up with him, and he's been awesome the entire tournament. We wrap it up next from Scottsdale, DraftKings Sportsbook with picks and prop picks, and an update in the Laker game coming up on VSiN Follow the Money, the sports betting network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, has given new customers a shot to turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets with any college basketball bet. Download the app, use promo code VSiN when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
Your best bet today?
Boy. I'm on both dogs.
You bet right away in the week.
Yeah.
So you got a good number as of right now on Alabama.
I like the Alabama bet more than NC State.
Do you?
Because I could see Burns getting in foul trouble and Edey imposing his will. They're knocking down threes, and it gets out of hand. With Alabama, you got a shot because it's a big number, but you're shooting so many threes, so you play the math game. So
I really do think there's a chance that, Alabama can actually maybe even win the game. Small chance. I think they can keep it close. That's why this game is so difficult. I also think there's a chance that if the threes aren't going in, they lose by 25 again. And UConn, their dominance just continues.
Yeah.
So this game has so much variance to it. To me, it's almost like a stay away. But the way I approach it is I'm taking a shot here. I know it's the
who's looking to
colossal
lay 12?
size of the stadium.
Sorry,
who's
looking to lay 12? Oh, yeah, can't wait.
In the
Let's
Final
do it.
Four.
But yeah, right, in the Final
Against a really
Four.
good team.
But you're getting paid if you've been doing it with UConn or in the favorites of A-plus points or 18-5 ATS in the tournament.
Yeah.
And these guys won every tournament game the last 2 years by at least 13 points.
So here's the way that I approached it. Gave these out in pocket Friday morning to end our show. I bet Alabama first to 10, first to 15, first to 25 at some, and the bigger the number you're betting there, obviously the better number you're going to get from a betting standpoint too. So I think first to 10 was plus 175, and then it went up from there. The thought is it's more difficult for the dog to stay in front of a big favorite for that long during the game. But if the threes are going in right away, because they're going to be shooting a lot of them, and if that background doesn't matter, this is one of the teams, maybe at this point, obviously, the only team in the country that could make UConn kind of like completely play their game. I also think UConn can play any game in the country. That's why they're so good. But if that's also the case and Alabama's hitting their shots early, I actually want to come back and then get UConn at a much better number, thinking that Dan Hurley's going to be able to adjust, and that won't continue. The threes aren't going to go in the entire game. And they'll make it more difficult on them defensively as well.
Well, they've also seen it, though, going against Marquette and Creighton. Your comeback could be Creighton blasted them in the regular season.
Look what happens when the threes go in.
Yeah. But but they're also used to seeing that as bombs away with Creighton and Marquette, too. So it's a wild story. And I know, getting on the plane, coming out here this morning, a lot of the fans were talking about this is a better Final Four than last year. It's more intrigue, I know. And America wasn't familiar with Florida Atlantic. And certainly San Diego State either.
No.
How it worked out. And then, how many people knew about Miami, which Larinaga's done a great job there, but it was just so bizarre how all the one seeds got knocked out last year, and UConn wins it as a 4. But with this year, one seed, Purdue trying to exercise the demons, go Virginia Part 2. Haven't made a Final Four since 1980. You got Cinderella here, even though they're the powerful ACC. But with a team that's got the record for most losses coming into a Final Four. And it could be 1983 all over again. But then you got Alabama, big bad Alabama from the SEC. And how they played down the stretch, I can't believe it. Grand Canyon should have beat them. Florida embarrassed them twice. SEC tournament in a late regular season game. Kentucky embarrassed them. Scored 117. It's hard to see Alabama getting stops. That's one thing. But if I lose, and if I'm looking at an all-time great team here who happens to repeat, so be it. And then I'll witness history. Because you go back to the 06-07 Florida teams, and then if they're really going to go 12-0 and cover every game. Imagine if they go 12-0 ATS and every wins by 13+ too.
They're just unanimous number one to begin the year next year. And what are they to begin the future market? 4-1?
Yeah.
5-1? You're not going to get anything decent on that team at all. This is the best event in sports. March Madness is and always has been just as good as it gets. I liked last year's Final Four. I didn't love it. I appreciate the underdogs winning outright as much as anybody. But I also, part of me wants to have the best teams in the country make it. And
it's a crapshoot. It's hard. Look at history.
And
look at Boeheim. Look at Few. Look how long it takes these guys.
Look at Mark Few. I'm glad you keep bringing that one up.
Yeah.
How many times has he just been absolutely loaded? And they, made it to 2 finals.
Well, he's made what, 9 straight. 9 straight Sweet 16s.
Yeah, Sweet 16s. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, a couple Final Fours, but it's hard to do.
Yeah, but I'm super excited for these games today because you do have a little bit of everything with the 2 best teams. I'll throw Houston out because they were right there with UConn and Purdue all year long. So the top 2 teams in the country pretty much from start to finish. You have Bama out of the SEC, whose offense is just incredible. And then, just to satisfy the taste buds a little bit, you have the dog, but they're still Power 5. But NC State, 14 losses, like you said earlier, most losses all time for a Final Four team, but nobody saw this one coming.
No.
So they qualify as the Cinderella story.
Stunning.
I think the games today are potential. But here's one thing that bothers me, though, and it's never going to happen. I wish they would go back to playing in the non-stadiums, just playing a basketball arena.
Right. I don't like it.
Because it's very easy to sit here and complain about the games later on tonight and leading the game on Monday night if we get kind of 2 duds and the teams can't shoot.
And apparently it's a bleep show down there, too. Looking at stuff on social media about traffic and what's going on. Before we thank everyone, the Lakers won and they covered. I think it stayed under, which would have been a vicious beat if that stayed under. That thing died. The Lakers are now tied with Sacramento for the 8th seed. They are a half game behind the Pelicans for the 7. I got ahead of myself. They could get the 6.
Could. It's possible.
They play Minnesota at home tomorrow. They play Golden State at home. They go to Memphis, and they play New Orleans, and they have obliterated them twice. The Pelicans, now Phoenix still has the Pelicans at home. They have a home and home with the Clippers. They go to Sac. They go to Minnesota. The Lakers could actually get the 6 here when it's all said and done. But certainly, you would have been drug tested if you said the Lakers a week ago could get the 7 seed.
How about this?
You get the home game to start. If they win, they get the 2 seed. I would pick them against OKC or Minnesota.
No. How about this scenario that nobody saw coming? What if the Lakers get the 6 and Denver falls to the 3? And that's the first round matchup.
Yeah. Oh. Dreadful.
That would be... the NBA last night was as drunk as the league has ever been. Milwaukee losing again outright as a 14.5-point favorite.
Yep.
The 2 seed is right there for Orlando, and they lost as a 12-point favorite. Phoenix now suddenly
Phoenix is hot.
Can win that division. We said absolutely do not bet them last week.
No.
Get the Clippers twice.
No, it's 99%.
They get the Clippers twice.
Yeah, it's 99%.
NHL, Boston, 2-1 lead over Florida. If they win that game today, that's got to come close to locking up the division at that point. So this place is awesome. If you're still driving around, if you happen to be sitting on AM 1060 KDUS in the Phoenix, Glendale / Scottsdale area, swing on by. We're at the DraftKings Sportsbook at TPC Scottsdale. They are connected. It was a phenomenal idea once legalized sports betting came into existence to build this thing right next golf course, and then every single year, of course, the waste management is going to be played there as well. 30 kiosks, countless gigantic screens. All the games are on. Beautiful the patio is absolutely packed today. Why would it not be? It's probably 70-plus degrees right now in Scottsdale.
What a scene. To
watch these games. The menu is outstanding. I dabbled a little bit with the hot honey pepperoni pizza earlier today. Phenomenal. I had the sweet chili wings. Tremendous. And we have a lot of people to thank for making this happen today. Brian Rogers, John Goulet, part of the management team here at VSiN, Luke DeVosta producing, Ken and Dez, sensational job engineering this broadcast today. And then back at Circa, Brian Ortega produced, Dakota and Isaiah helped out on the technical director side, John Brown with graphics, awesome as always. And we also have Gaia and Aramis helping out with the broadcast. Excellent job by everybody involved. Thank you for that.
Thanks to everyone who came down.
Oh, the whole crew today that showed up.
Nesson crew, NC State crew, Scottsdale crew.
Oh, yeah.
Guy made the drive from Orange County.
Multiple guys, handful of guys made the drive for LA to be here.
Great to meet Grace. What's Grace doing here? She's from Canada. What was she doing?
She was blown away. She is from Kitchener. She was blown away the other day when I said on the air that I was hanging out with a group of guys from Woodstock, Canada.
Sure.
Like 20 minutes away. So a huge group coming down.
Hit a royal, John Brown.
Enjoy the games today. Good luck with your bets. Tuned. Live Bet Saturday next right here on VSiN.